Forget the romanticized corn and Three Sisters agriculture. Native Americans faced extreme environments that forced them to eat things most of us couldn't even look at today. But these weren't desperate choices. They were calculated survival strategies refined over thousands of years. From fermenting fish heads in underground pits to eating live insects for medicine, these practices kept entire civilizations alive. Here are 20 real historical facts with documented sources. Subscribe and comment which one shocked you the most. Number 1. Long before factory farms existed, the Paiute of the Great Basin had already solved one of humanity's hardest problems, finding protein in a desert. Their solution? Grasshoppers. Every summer, entire communities would drive massive swarms into trenches filled with burning sagebrush. The heat killed them instantly. They'd collect thousands of pounds in a single day, then dry them in the sun until they were crunchy like chips. But here's the detail most people don't know. They didn't just eat the adults. They specifically harvested pregnant females because the eggs inside provided concentrated fat. One handful had more calories than an entire rabbit. When you're walking 20 miles a day in 110-degree heat, that math is the difference between surviving and collapsing. Number 2. The Chumash of coastal California had access to ocean fish, but they didn't waste a single part. When they caught sharks, they ate everything, including the liver. The process was specific. They'd slice the liver thin, hang it over low smoke for days, then store it in seal bladder containers. But here's what catches people off guard. Shark liver contains so much vitamin A that eating too much can actually poison you. The Chumash figured out the exact portion size through generations of trial and error. Modern nutritionists only confirmed this danger in the 1940s. These people had it down to a science 1,000 years earlier. Number 3. Before cattle were introduced to North America, the Blackfoot on the Great Plains hunted buffalo. Everyone knows that. But here's what most don't know. When they killed a buffalo in winter, they ate the bone marrow raw, right there on the kill site. They'd crack open leg bones with rocks and scrape out the soft, fatty marrow while it was still warm. The reason? In sub-zero temperatures, that fat provided instant energy that could mean the difference between making it back to camp or freezing to death. Cooked marrow tastes better, but survival doesn't wait for a fire. Number 4. The Tlingit of coastal Alaska harvested something that would make most people gag: sea cucumber intestines. These slimy, tube-like creatures were collected during low tide, and the Tlingit would slice them open and eat the digestive tract raw. But here's the disturbing detail. They had to eat them within hours of harvest because the enzymes inside start breaking down so fast that the tissue becomes toxic. This wasn't ignorance. They knew exactly what they were doing. Modern research shows those intestines contain compounds that boost immune function. The Tlingit didn't have labs. They had observation and memory passed down through hundreds of generations. Number 5. This isn't folklore. The Yupik in Alaska really did bury seal flippers in the ground and leave them for months. The process was specific. Dig a pit, line it with seal skin, pack it with flippers, cover it with more skin and soil, then wait. 6 months later, they'd dig up a fermented paste that smelled so strong it could be detected from a quarter-mile away. But here's the shocking truth. This fermentation produced vitamin K2, a nutrient that prevents bone disease. In an environment where fresh vegetables don't exist for half the year, this rotting seal flipper paste kept people's skeletons from literally crumbling. Disgusting? Yes. Life-saving? Absolutely. Number 6. The Kwakiutl of the Pacific Northwest created something called stink eggs. They'd collect herring roe in early spring, bury it in boxes lined with cedar bark, and let it ferment for weeks. The smell was so intense that neighboring villages could tell when someone opened a stink egg box. But here's the detail that changes everything. The fermentation process increased the protein content by 300%. What started as fish eggs became one of the most nutrient-dense foods on Earth. Scientists only figured out why this worked in the 1980s. The Kwakiutl had been doing it for centuries. Number 7. Across the Arctic, Inuit communities practiced something called igunak, fermented walrus. They'd bury whole walrus carcasses under rocks and let them age for months or even years. The meat turned soft, gray, and developed a cheese-like smell. But here's what most people miss. This wasn't just about preservation. The fermentation broke down the muscle fibers, making the meat easier to digest in a place where every calorie counts. And the bacteria produced B vitamins that would otherwise be impossible to get. Modern doctors call this high meat. The Inuit call it survival. Number 8. The Haida on the coast of British Columbia created fermented salmon roe that they called Indian cheese. The process took patience. Layer fresh roe with seaweed in cedar boxes, seal them tight, and wait for months. The result looked like orange pudding and tasted intensely salty. But here's the kicker. 1 spoonful had more omega-3 fatty acids than an entire modern salmon fillet. In a culture where arthritis and inflammation were constant threats from cold and physical labor, this was medicine disguised as food. Number 9. The Pomo of Northern California ate buckeye nuts, which sounds harmless until you learn that raw buckeyes contain enough toxins to cause seizures and death. The preparation process took days. Crack the nuts, grind them into powder, leach the powder in running water for 48 hours straight, then boil the paste multiple times. Miss a step and you're dead. But here's what's remarkable. During acorn crop failures, buckeyes were the backup plan that kept thousands of people alive. The knowledge of how to detoxify them was so valuable it was passed down through specific family lines, almost like a trade secret. Number 10. Tribes throughout the Southwest harvested agave, but the preparation was brutal. They dig roasting pits 6 feet deep, fill them with rocks heated for 12 hours, pack in whole agave hearts weighing 50 pounds each, cover everything with earth, and let it cook for 3 days. But here's the part people don't expect. Raw agave contains calcium oxalate crystals that feel like swallowing glass shards. Your throat swells shut. You can't breathe. The 3-day roasting was the only way to break down those crystals. One shortcut, one impatient decision, and someone died. Number 11. The Kumeyaay in Southern California ate Jimson weed seeds during vision quests, but this wasn't recreational. Jimson weed, or datura, is so poisonous that 3 seeds too many causes permanent brain damage or death. Tribal elders controlled the dosage with terrifying precision, counting out exact numbers of seeds based on a person's body weight and tolerance. But here's the disturbing reality. They'd been refining this practice for so long that they could predict hallucination intensity and duration with accuracy that modern pharmacology still can't match. Survival sometimes meant knowing how to almost poison yourself without dying. Number 12. Eastern tribes processed pokeweed shoots, which contain phytolactotoxin, a compound that attacks red blood cells. The preparation method was strict. Harvest only the youngest shoots, boil them, throw out the water, boil again, discard that water, boil a 3rd time. Only then was it safe. But here's what makes this terrifying. The older leaves and berries remain deadly no matter how you cook them. One mix-up, one misidentification, and an entire family could die vomiting blood within hours. This knowledge couldn't be written down. It had to be demonstrated, watched, memorized, and repeated flawlessly every single spring. Number 13. When Plains tribes killed buffalo, they didn't just eat the meat. They ate the fetus if the cow was pregnant. The unborn calf would be removed, cleaned, and cooked whole in the stomach lining. But here's the detail that disturbs people. If resources were scarce, they'd eat it raw because the fetal tissue was so tender it dissolved in the mouth. For modern sensibilities, this sounds barbaric. For the Lakota, it was mathematics. A 20-pound fetus provided protein for a family for 2 days. Nothing was wasted because waste meant death. Number 14. The Inuit ate narwhal skin called muktuk raw. They'd slice it fresh from the whale and eat it immediately before the vitamin C degraded. But here's what changes the story. This wasn't a delicacy, it was scurvy prevention. A 4-inch square of muktuk contains as much vitamin C as an entire orange. European explorers died from scurvy while watching Inuit communities thrive on raw whale skin. The primitive culture had solved a problem that killed thousands of civilized sailors. Number 15. Apache and Navajo groups ate the lining of animal stomachs without washing them first. The partially digested plant matter inside was considered especially valuable. But here's the scientific truth modern research revealed. That pre-digested grass contained enzymes and probiotics that improved gut health and helped extract more nutrition from their own limited diets. They weren't being gross, they were maximizing every possible nutrient source. Number 16. Coastal tribes ate barnacles scraped directly off rocks, swallowing them raw and whole. But here's the part that makes sense once you understand it. Barnacles filter phytoplankton all day long, concentrating nutrients from thousands of gallons of seawater. One handful of barnacles provided more iodine than a month of any other food source. In a world without iodized salt, eating barnacles prevented thyroid disease. Simple, effective, disgusting by modern standards, brilliant by survival standards. Number 17. During the Sundance ceremony, some Plains tribes practiced ritual consumption of dog meat. The preparation was elaborate. The dog had to be specifically bred, never used for hunting or work. It was strangled, not cut to keep the blood inside, then roasted whole. But here's what anthropologists discovered. This practice wasn't cruelty. Dogs were considered spiritually powerful because they lived between the human and animal worlds. Eating dog meat during the most sacred ceremony was about absorbing that spiritual bridge. It was communion, not cuisine. Number 18. The Kwakwaka'wakw consumed eulachon oil, rendered from tiny fish so fatty they could be dried and burned as candles. The rendering process took weeks and smelled so powerfully fishy that oil processing camps were built miles from villages. But here's the remarkable detail. A single spoonful of this oil contained enough calories to fuel an entire day of winter travel. It was liquid energy, and trading this oil created economic networks spanning thousands of miles. This smelly fish grease was literally currency. Number 19. Cherokee medicine men prepared a drink called black drink from yaupon holly leaves. The brew contained massive amounts of caffeine, more than coffee. Warriors would drink it until they vomited, which was the whole point. But here's what makes this medical, not cultural. The vomiting purged intestinal parasites, while the caffeine killed bacteria. Modern analysis confirms the drink had legitimate antimicrobial properties. What looked like ritual was actually pharmaceutical intervention refined over centuries. Number 20. When the Comanche brought down a buffalo, the first thing eaten wasn't steak, it was the liver, raw and still warm. The hunter who made the kill ate first, then shared with those present. But here's the biological reason this mattered. Raw liver from a freshly killed animal contains the highest concentration of iron, vitamin B12, and copper available in nature. After hours or days of hunting, those nutrients provided immediate recovery. It wasn't symbolic, it was strategic sports medicine. Every one of these practices has been documented by anthropologists, verified by nutritional science, and confirmed through archaeological evidence. What seems bizarre to us was brilliant to them. These weren't primitive people eating weird things. These were sophisticated cultures that understood their environments better than we understand ours. They turned poison into food, rot into medicine, and waste into wealth. If that shocked you, subscribe for more hidden history that changes how you see the past.